The two workers' unions at the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, PRASA, say their 3-year multi-wage agreement at the state-owned entity lapsed in March 2023 and their 15,000 members have been left in limbo. The South African Transport Airline Workers Union SATAWU wants the new agreement to be strictly implemented for a year, for the employer to also pay 70% towards the medical aid, a 3,000 rand housing allowance and a moratorium on retrenchments.
We are actually 7 months behind with the negotiations. The employer was delaying the process. We are rejecting the 3% tabled by the management. It is in fact an insult considering the fact that workers have not had a salary increment for the past 2 years at PRASA, which is not acceptable. 3% is also below the inflation rate. We are also meeting with the management today and tomorrow. We are hoping that they are going to come up with something that is more reasonable.
The United National Transport Union UNTU is the majority union at PRASA. It wants a total worker package and says there are still outstanding issues with the employer dating from the previous agreement. It says the employer only honored the first of the 3-year agreement, a matter that ended up in the courts.
When we commenced with the wage negotiations, there were other things which delayed the process. The issue of implementation of the 3-year agreement, which was concluded in 2020. So we started the negotiations having this cloud hanging while we enforce, as UNTU, we enforce the agreement which was signed, which PRASA, they didn't honor the agreement. So there are a lot of things which we believe were never done correctly, and we are hoping that those things will be corrected.
PRASA has been implementing a wider strategy to improve passenger rail services across South Africa by opening rail lines and returning trains to service. The unions are hoping that these interventions will be sustained so the entity can return to profitability.
With the new management, we are hopeful to say things will go back. There is a traction on what they are doing currently, honestly, and we believe maybe with the intervention or the assistance of the Department of Transport or our government, they'll be able to fund PRASA so that it give a decent living wage to the workers, so that the workers, they'll be motivated, they'll be able to support also the entity.
PRASA says it will only be in a position to comment after the meetings with Labour. The unions say they are hopeful that the fresh rounds of talks will see the employer approach the wage negotiations positively, saying that workers cannot afford the delays as they navigate the high cost of living. They are convinced that PRASA is edging closer to stability, a move that they say will over time see revenue collected and workers' wages improve. Katlego Logodi, SABC News, Johannesburg.